Hello, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Homeopathic Super Sessions by Dr. Jabus. Today, we'll be doing Richard Hughes, the third lecture, in which he has concluded the previous lecture entitled The Organon. So, in this video, basically, Richard Hughes will tell you three important points, that is, about the disease, about the drug action, and the selection of remedy and administration. Regarding diseases, he will tell you about what is the Hahnemannian concept of disease, and he also is brave enough to contradict Dr. Hahnemann by saying that Dr. Hahnemann did not give any importance to pathology, or he was ignoring pathology while forming the totality. Regarding drug action, as you all know, the drug action is known to the process of drug proving, so that also he has discussed here. And regarding the seat of medicine, rather the selection of medicine, he has said that there are three methods of doing that. That is the allopathic, antipathic, and the homeopathic. And let us see later on what each one of us or what each one has to say. He also said that Hahnemann hasn't done justice to the concept of dose. And also he tells something about the SORA theory and something about drug dynamization. So now let us move forward and see all these points a little bit more in detail. So lecture 3, the Organon concluded. In the previous lecture, the ground plan of Organon book was discussed. Now let us focus on three important points which Dr. Hahnemann takes towards, that is the disease, the drug action, selection and administration of remedies. So now let us study one by one and see what Dr. Hughes has to say. First one, Hahnemann's attitude towards disease. Totality of symptom is the only curative indication of the disease. So this is what is Hahnemannian concept, that if you want to cure the disease, naturally you have to take into consideration the totality of symptoms. The causes of disease play an important role as given in aphorism number 5. That is, the exciting and the maintaining cause, which is to be responsible for the disease, should be also removed aphorism number 7. So in aphorism number 5, he tells you about the causes of disease, that is for the acute disease, the exciting cause is there, which has to be taken into consideration, and also the acute miasm. And for the chronic disease, you have to take into consideration the maintaining cause, but most important is the fundamental cause. So therefore, he says that if a disease has to be cured completely, the exciting and maintaining causes which are responsible for the disease, they have to be removed. So you have to see in the disease whether there is any exciting or maintaining cause which is responsible for the disease formation. Physician must be a preserver of health and also a hygienist. So besides giving the correct medicine through the totality of symptoms, Dr. Hahnemann has also said that the physician should be a preserver of health if he knows the things that derange health, and also he must be an hygienist. Hahnemann's doctrine is that the totality of symptoms, which includes the subjective and objective symptoms, represent the disease phenomena. So totality is represented naturally by the expressions. Expressions are the signs and symptoms. Signs and symptoms could be objective or could be subjective. He says that the disease is an outwardly reflective picture of the internal essence of the disease. However, the main point of dispute was that on pathology. Richard Hughes said that Hahnemann ignored pathology, especially morbid anatomy. So in the beginning, I've told you, Richard Hughes disagreed on Hahnemann's view regarding the disease, and he said that Dr. Hahnemann hasn't given importance to the pathology. Now let us see something more about it. But in speaking so, Hughes forgets Hahnemann's aim. Hahnemann said that in disease, the physician must know the curative indications through the totality. That means whatever disease is there, if you want to cure it, you have to take the totality. What totality? You have to take the curative totality. As also Kent has given 3 types of totality. That is a curative totality, that is the incurative totality and the sector totality. So Dr. Hahnemann also says that if you want to cure the disease, you have to know the indications of the totality of the symptoms. Which indications? The curative indication. That is important. Now, if pathology is advanced, then it will be of no use as you will not be able to cure disease. So therefore, Hahnemann says that if your main aim is to cure the disease, and however, if the pathology is advanced, or if end organ damage has taken place, or if irreversible damage has taken place, then naturally your aim will not be accomplished of curing the disease. Why? Because the pathology has advanced to a considerable level. Therefore, you must take into consideration the pathology at an earlier level where it hasn't advanced too much to render the disease incurable. So therefore, Dr. Hahnemann says that if you want to have your aim of curing the disease, then you must take into consideration the pathology when the disease has just started, so that it is still in the reversible stage and it hasn't gone into the advanced stage. So when it is still in the reversible stage, when it is still in the budding stage, when it is still appearing or gradually appearing, then you have to take that into consideration in order to fulfill the aim of curative indication through the totality. This Hahnemann states as an obstacle to the recovery. So therefore, Hahnemann says that the pathology also will cause an obstacle to recovery. Why? Because if it's advanced, naturally you will not be able to cure the disease and recovery will be hampered. Hahnemann says that the microscope cannot see the beginning of disease. Hughes has given example of cirrhosis of liver, sclerosis of the brain, etc. So therefore, Hahnemann says that right in the beginning of the diseases, when the vital forces does derange, the microscope cannot detect that. The patient, however, feels them right from the beginning. But he says that if the microscope cannot detect, the patient will feel subjectively something is wrong with him at the beginning of the disease. And it takes time for the pathology to locate in a particular part, system, or organ of the body. And then the pathology will take some time for it to localize itself, either in a location or in a part or in an organ or in a system, etc. It is difficult to say how useful the indicated remedy would arrest the pathology in the case. So therefore, Hahnemann says that he was quite honest, and he was saying that it is quite difficult to say that the indicated remedy, according to the totality of symptoms, if he would administer it, how much of it would the pathology be arrested by giving the medicine. So therefore, he said it is difficult to say. Richard Hughes further blames Hahnemann of ignoring pathology in a different way to distinguish and classify the disease. So therefore, Richard Hughes had said that Hahnemann had given the classification of the disease in order for us to find out which disease belongs in which classification, or in order to identify it. So therefore, he says that also he had ignored pathology there. This was a mistake on Hughes' part, as Hahnemann had said about generalization and individualization. So long time back, Hahnemann had already told us about the inductive and as well as deductive logic, or rather Stuart Close has given much more details about it. Even in organon textbook, Hahnemann has mentioned about inductive and deductive logic in an indirect way. So therefore, Hahnemann says that when you go from the particular to general, you are using inductive logic, and when you go from general to particular, you are using the deductive logic. Therefore, he's explained generalization and individualization, which would take into consideration the pathology also. Thus, Hahnemann must be vindicated from the charge of ignoring pathology, as he knew about the theory of Sora. Furthermore, he says that, however, the charge levied against Hahnemann that he ignored pathology should be taken back. Why? Because he knew about the theory of Sora. It was mentioned in the fourth and fifth editions of Organon. Hahnemann stressed the importance of case taking in 83 to 104. He said that the totality must be obtained and the remedy which covers the symptoms must be selected, which is capable of producing these symptoms in a healthy subject. So therefore, he says that in a disease condition, we must take the totality and find out a remedy which will cover the totality and that remedy should be capable of inducing the same sort of symptoms in the process of drug proving on a healthy subject. Now, the second point is that Hahnemann's attitude towards drug action. His reference of drug action is stated in 19 to 22. It can be only be ascertained by the process of drug proving upon the healthy human body. Hahnemann did not take the merit of discovering drug proving, but gave the due respect to the inventors, namely Albrecht von Haller and Alexander. So therefore, Hahnemann's attitude towards drug action is to do with drug proving, and Dr. Hahnemann said that he hadn't invented drug proving, but it was known long time back to the inventor, namely Albrecht von Haller and Alexander. However, Hahnemann can be given the credit of developing Haller's thought into a doctrine and expanding Alexander's attempt on proving. But however, Hahnemann took this hint given by Albrecht von Haller and he developed the thought further, as well as he started expanding the attempts of proving done by Alexander. Thus, Hahnemann is known as the father of experimental pharmacology. The greatest value for choosing the human subjects for proving is that the subjective symptoms can be ascertained. So the best part of proving, or the important part, is that when you prove a drug on healthy human beings, what important aspect you are seeing? You are seeing that you are getting the subjective symptom. That is what the patient is feeling within. He is expressing it in plain and simple words in accurate terms. The process of drug proving is mentioned in episode 104 to 145, which is pure and trustworthy. Why was it pure? Because a single simple medicine in the unadulterated form or in the pure form it was used. And why was it trustworthy? Because Hahnemann himself had conducted these provings, and later on he had come to a conclusion what is right and what is wrong, or what symptoms to take and what symptoms not to take. That is why it is trustworthy. Now, the next point regarding selection and administration of remedies, that is how to use the knowledge of drug action in the treatment of disease and what potencies are to be used in order to combat the disease phenomena. So therefore, out here we have to know the knowledge of drug action. That means we have to know what are the symptoms produced during the drug proving, which will be used for the treatment of the disease on the basis of similar or symptom similarity, and what potencies are used in order to combat the disease. The answer lies in FM 22 to 69 and 146 to 292, the second edition of the Organon. So whatever reference he is giving, he is given it to the second edition of the Organon. Even his reference to the drug action from 19 to 22 is given in the second edition. Hahnemann argues that there are only three conceivable relations between the physiological effects of a drug and the symptoms of the disease. Thus, there will be only three possible ways of applying the one to the other. They are by use of a heterogeneous drug, that is allelopathic. It's not allopathic, but the word allelopathic has been used. Or by using the direct opposite method, that is the antipathy. And lastly is by using a similar remedy, that is by homeopathy. So allelopathic medications must be condemned as they are based on uncertainty, and large doses are used in order to get the desired result by causing harm to other organs. So as you all know, in the allelopathic medicine, the medicines were given in large physiological doses. And these medicines were based on what? Uncertainty, because nothing correct or the truth wasn't known whether this medicine was capable of curing a certain disease. Therefore, it was uncertain. And the large doses are in reference to the large physiological doses in order to get the desired result. But what was the effect? No doubt the result may have occurred, but what was more worrying or more troublesome was the harm caused to the other organs, or in short, what were the side effects. So whatever goodness the drug did, the side effects outnumbered the goodness. So therefore, you could say the allelopathic medicines were not of much use. They only used to temporarily give relief to the patient, And each time the patient came back to the physician again gave a drug which was uncertain and the dosage was increased. So each time, as and when the patient came with the same complaint again and again, the doses went on increasing. As a result of which, side effects also went on increasing. Antipathy treatment is certainly a rapid palliative, and the disease returns with greater force. So, in the antipathic treatment, as you all know, it is based on the law contraria contraris curenta. That means opposite cause opposite. So, therefore, he says that it is certainly rapid, but it is only palliative. But the disease, unfortunately, returns with much greater force, just like the allopathic system of medicine. Antipathy may be used for immediate needs or temporary troubles, but it is not competent to deal with complex, persistent, or recurrent diseases. So, therefore, he says that antipathy could be used for an emergency or when you want an immediate result for some temporary troubles. But it is not useful to cure the diseases which are complex, persistent, or recurrent in nature. So antipathy can only be used in a case of an emergency or if you want immediate results to reduce some temporary troubles of the patient. Homeopathic method is the best way to deal with such diseases as it does not cause any injury to other parts and it does not weaken the patient with strength. So, therefore, Hahnemann says that the homeopathic method is the best method to treat such diseases because it is not injurious, it doesn't have any side effects, the other organs are not affected, and the patient has its own strength and vigor, and he is not weakened as compared to the allopathic or the antipathic medication, where it drains the patient of its strength also. Homeopathy covers the totality and is gentle and permanent. Furthermore, Dr. Hahnemann says that homeopathy, it will definitely cover the totality of symptoms and the cure will be gentle, rapid, and permanent. The cure takes place due to the secondary curative action of the drug, which is selected on the basis of similars. The second part of Organon is a totally practical part. He gives instructions about the selection of the remedy based on homeopathic principles and their judicious employment when selecting. So, the practical part will tell you about how to select the remedy and what are the principles on which it is based on and how do we employ it. He tells us what to do if an imperfect remedy is selected, how to distinguish between two seemingly similar remedies, or when the symptoms are too few to guide the selection of the remedy. So other practical parts are that it will tell you, what is the course of action when you choose an imperfectly selected homeopathic remedy or not completely similar, or how to distinguish between two seemingly similar remedies. So when two remedies are there, you're quite confused whether to give remedy A, remedy B. Some directions are given how to distinguish them. Or when the symptoms are too few to guide to the selection of the remedy. Or what will you do when there is a paucity of symptoms, or when there are very few symptoms, or because of suppression, the symptoms are few, then how do you go about it? So all this has been told in the practical part. He also gives the instructions how to treat local disease, mental disorders, and intermittent disease. He also gives direction for diet and regimen, for the preparation of medicine and repetition of the doses. UG says that Hahnemann hasn't done justice on the subject of dose by only knowing the 5th edition of Organon. So therefore, again, he contradicts Hahnemann, UG contradicts Hahnemann, and he says that regarding the subject of doses, not much clarity Hahnemann has given us. If we only take into consideration the 5th edition of Organon. In 1829, after the publication of the 4th edition of Organon, he tried to maintain the uniformity of the dose by using only one potency of the 30th on the centesimal scale. So as you all know, there was great confusion of potency, which still remains till today. So in order to bring some, you can say some rule or some clarity on potency, Dr. Hahnemann said that the 30th potency on the centesimal scale is good to use. So therefore, he had uniformed the dosage by using the 30th potency only. Even in the Mater Medica Pura, Hahnemann used the dose from mother tincture till 30th potency on the centesimal scale. So, in the Mater Medica Pura, you know that it is a pure form of the Mater Medica because Hahnemann has proved the drugs right from the mother tincture to the 30th potency, and he did not go above the 30th potency. Hahnemann put forward the hypothesis of vital force, which gives life to all living things on the earth, and in which disease begins and medicines act. So, therefore, Hahnemann also says that the vital force is there, as a result of which all the living things on the earth are life, and in which disease begins and medicine acts. And because of the vital force, when it gets deranged, the disease will start. And when we choose a suitable remedy based on totality of symptoms, the medicine will also act on the vital force and bring back the deranged vital force back into its normal equilibrium, or homeostasis will be maintained. He coined the word dynamic to note the true disease, the true origin of disease, and for the effects of drugs which require vitality for their production. And he also used the word, or invented the word, or coined the word dynamic. And dynamic represents or denotes the true origin of the disease. As you all know, in homeopathy, the disease originates on the dynamic plane and not on the materialistic plane. And for the effects of drugs which require vitality for their production. And also, our drugs also are dynamic in nature, and it is because of this dynamic force present in the medicines, they are able to exhibit its power to the maximum. He adopted a view that vitality was a force without which the material organism would lack sensation and functional activity. So therefore, he says the vitality is nothing but the force, or the vital force, which is present in the organism, and if it was absent, naturally there would be no sensation, there would be no function, there would be no activity. In short, the person would have died. This vitality gives life to a person, and when the person dies, the vitality is absent. So naturally, this force is there, or the vital force is there, which gives life to the person, which gives the different sensations, the different functions of the person. All this will be seen when the patient is alive, or when vitality is present. And when the patient dies, the vitality is absent, as a result of which there is no sensation, there is no functional activity of the body. In illness, the vital force is primarily deranged on the mob, in which the morphic potency acts through the sensory nerves. So, in illness also, what Hahnemann says that the vital force is primarily deranged, and we have the different potencies which will rectify the derangement of the vital force, and the action is probably through the nerves. Now let us see what Hahnemann wants to tell us about the SORA theory. In his work on chronic disease, he discovers the SORA theory and says that the majority of diseases were caused by it. So if you read his chronic disease in detail, he will tell you that 7th, 8th of the chronic diseases are soric in origin, and only a small proportion, 1/8 of it, is not soric in origin. Only a small proportion of disease were of the venereal origin, to which he gave the name psychotic and the syphilitic miasm. So in the chronic disease, 7th, 8th of the diseases were soric in origin, and only a small proportion of the disease, 1/8 of the disease, were venereal in origin, which he gave the name psychotic and the syphilitic miasm. Now let us see a few words about the theory of dynamization. In 1824, in the third edition of Organon, he speaks of the pharmaceutics process of trituration and succussion. So in the third edition of Organon, the important process of trituration and succussion have been given. By this process, the crude form of drug would be aroused into a useful activity. So a drug which is totally useless in the crude state, when you do this process of either trituration or succussion, the activity is aroused and the useless drug becomes a very useful drug. By this peculiar process, becomes more potent and penetrating. So therefore, when you either triturate the drug or you succuss the drug by this peculiar process, it becomes more active, more penetrating, or the depth of action is much more. There is the liberation of medicinal power, a real spiritualization of the dynamic property. So what happens when you do either succussion or trituration? The medicinal power is there, or the dynamic energy, or the spirit-like energy, which is present in the medicinal substance. It comes into activity, and it shows the effect on the dynamic property. In 1829, the fourth edition of Organon, we see the word refined being replaced by the word potentized. Thus, Dr. Hahnemann lived in a world where medicines was just a theory, a hypothesis, or a postulate. So, during that time, when Hahnemann was there, as you all know, medicine was in a state of chaos. Different systems of medicine were there. Each one were boasting that their system was the best, and each of these systems basically wasn't based on truth. It was based on a theory or a hypothesis or on a postulate. And the result was pathetic. The patients were not cured, they were just given temporary relief. And again, they used to visit the physician. The dose of medicine was increased, and the side effects were much more, and the patient used to feel drained out. Homeopathy gave good results as the system was based on truth and not on mere conjecture. So, when Dr. Hahnemann discovered the homeopathic system, it proved to be of much use, of much goodness, because this system of medicine was based on the truth. It was based on the inductive logic. And there was no theory or hypothesis or postulate, or not merely an hearsay. So therefore, the homeopathic system of medicine gave good results, and the cure took place in a rapid, gentle, and permanent manner, as compared to the other systems in which they assumed that the cure took place. So that is all what Richard Hughes wants to tell you in this chapter, and he has concluded the Organon chapter. So I've described this chapter to you in very simple terms. Only what is important I've taken and I presented to you. So if a long question comes regarding this, you can easily write it down and expand on these points which I have given. So thank you very much. And if you like my video, please do subscribe, share, like, comment, and forward. And please pass on the word to other students also from different colleges so that they are benefited. Thank you very much.